Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy, owner-operator of Green 13 for 15 years. Third generation auctioneer and dealer of antiques and collectibles for over 30 years.
We are Lysandra and Tony from ilovediscounts_com. With 20 years of experience across brick and mortar, Amazon, eBay, and whatnot, we have built, broken, and rebuilt resale businesses, so you don't have to.
Hi, I'm Tracy, a CPA with over 30 years of audit and tax experience and have worked with businesses in various industries. I am also a seller on Whatnot, eBay, and Etsy.
Welcome to Reselling Roundtable.
Welcome to the Reselling Roundtable, everybody.
Welcome in, everyone. Tonight we're diving into a topic that pretty much every seller on Whatnot and live selling eventually runs into, whether they realize it or not. To initiate or to imitate or to innovate, sorry. If you spend any time on Whatnot, you probably noticed something interesting. One show finds success with a format. Maybe it's a game or a bundle style, catchphrase, or even the way they run their auctions. And then suddenly you start seeing versions of that idea popping up everywhere. Some sellers see that and say that's copying. Others say that's just smart business. And honestly, both sides have a point, because every seller learns from watching other sellers. The question becomes, where is the line between inspiration and imitation? And how do you eventually turn that inspiration into something that's uniquely yours? Tonight, we're going to talk about the difference between following a proven format and building something original. We'll discuss when copying can actually help you grow, when it can actually hurt your brand, and how sellers can evolve from learning the ropes to creating shows that people recognize instantly as their show. So if you're a new seller trying to figure out what works, or a veteran who's watched their ideas show up in someone else's show, this conversation should be a fun one. Let's get into it.
Who's getting into it next? Is that me?
Sure. I started this, man. So let's go.
Yeah. I'm gonna I'll go over a couple things real quick. I mean, the reality of the situation is, in some way, shape, or form, you're going to end up imitating somebody, whether you realize it or not. I'm going to let you know from the standpoint of being on there for 5 years, there was a time when innovation was extremely, I shouldn't say extremely easy, was more available to do. There was a lot of low-hanging fruit. I mean, there's a ton of stuff we kind of started doing and utilizing, and we saw the people mirror it. And then there's obviously certain things that, and I'll give examples here in a second, that naturally are going to seem like, you know what, that's a good idea, and it'd be awesome for the community to adopt and utilize these type of ideas to incentivize certain attributes. And then there's other ones that you're like, I really would prefer other people not copy it, but obviously you don't have a license to it and people are going to. And I'll give you an example of both. One of the examples was my bingo. I don't know if anybody was familiar when we did a bingo show at one point in time. And when I was talking about just a second ago, how you can't do what you used to be able to do and whatnot, this is one of those elements, because it kind of borderlines. I mean, there's certain states you can't even play bingo. So we couldn't do it anymore. But the reality of the situation is that type of idea I would have loved to basically keep, whether other people wanted to imitate it or not. And that was one where we would send out cards every Friday to people. I'd send out a bingo card, and then once a month we'd have a bingo game where people would come in and play bingo and could win prizes as a result. And then we had a community board. It was a fun time. And there were other people in other categories that started doing something similar, but nowhere near to that extent. But it's something that, if it was capable of keep going on, I would have liked to kind of, held tight to that and kind of kept that my own. I also know that type of innovation it feels to me that if other people would have decided to adopt it, it would have almost looked like plagiarism, and they probably would end up doing them more harm than good. Like you were talking about, Tony, at the beginning, sometimes replicating or mimicking somebody else's thing actually hurts you more than it helps you. And you might think it's great, but it felt like that was one of those situations where that would have been the case. The other one that I thought was fun, and I think other people would have that we did and was copied, and I think it would have been nice at the time. It kind of fell out of favor when we did the tip marbles. I don't know if we've been on for so long, where when tips first got introduced, we would have a giant item that was for sale, but we wouldn't sell it. It was $1 start until all the marbles from one jar got transferred to the other. And the way they would get transferred, every time we got a tip, we'd take a marble out and put it in. And it was a give back as an appreciation to all the tips.
Awesome.
Once all the marbles were transferred, we were like, now we're going to run this for $1. I mean, that's still a viable option, I believe. I kind of went away from tons of that stuff. I got more we'll talk about through the process of all the fun stuff we used to do in the early days of Whatnot. But when they started changing their terms of service and stuff, a lot of this kind of went away, which leads us to a situation like we're in right now, where the ability to innovate is very restricted in comparison to what it was, because of terms of service and them getting Whatnot and other live stream platforms getting to the point where legally they were going to find themselves in hot water because they were getting big enough to be targeted by states and other entities, let's say, were able to come after them, whether that be a state or a group of people. But it's not there like it was back then. And so when somebody sees a good idea, since they can't really implement or come up with as many good, the opportunity for that many ideas to innovate new strategies and ideas, it's going to be hard for people not to end up replicating it or imitating it. So I see the frustration. I understand on the other end of the spectrum, there were several things that we've done that we saw people do in the past that were like, come on, I would, but at the same time, I don't have a copyright on it. I don't own it. Like if I could, I think we talked about this before, our Pick This Old House series. If I could have owned the origins or copyright I'm the only person that can sell live out of an estate. I mean, tell me that wouldn't have been a great opportunity to be able to do.
100%.
But, obviously that's a very well sought after or, popular enough strategy and environment to create on live selling that it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. But the innovate within it is where, you need to find. Make it your own, I guess is what I would say, instead of completely copy one person. And that, I think that in that aspect is what we're really looking for, in my opinion. If you innovate a great idea, I don't mind people replicating, copying it, but make it your own. Do your own twist to enough that it's you're not just pulling out the copy machine and just outright taking every single aspect of it for yourself. So I'm going to let it there. I do have a lot to talk about on this topic because, like I said, we've been doing it 5 years, and at the beginning of this, that's what it was all about. It was always who can out-create somebody else, and I love that environment. That was so much fun for me.
Yeah, sure.
So I was looking forward to this conversation. So I'm going to stop because, like I said, this is what I'm looking forward to. So I'm going to talk way more than I should. So I'll let somebody else pick up.
I'll jump in really quick. I have a lot to say too, so I'm just going to do a little bit, and we'll kind of keep going back and forth throughout our time tonight. But I have a feeling I look at it a little bit different. Straight up imitation, I totally agree with the things that you've said. But I think imitation is more market feedback, market research. I think all of us are the foundations are the same business principles, and it's how you apply those business principles. So when I look at Imitate, I go to a lot of different shows. What works, what doesn't? I'm dissecting them. I'm like, well, how are they behaving? What are they selling? How are they handling bids? When are they changing times on their auctions? To me, it's market research. And if I see something that's working, I'm going to do it too, not in the sense of copying, but as a foundational business principle. I keep thinking about an example of, you can have McDonald's and Burger King. They both sell burgers. But McDonald's has Shamrock Shakes and Burger King doesn't. You can do the same thing. We can have a multitude of vintage sellers, a multitude of jewelry sellers, estate, whatever it may be, and everybody do their own unique thing, even if you're selling the same stuff. So I don't necessarily look at it as imitating versus pulling out the good parts of it and recreating it based in sound business principles. That's on the imitate side. On the innovate side, I do feel that there's a lack of, let me step back. I disagree with you that it's harder or less opportunity to innovate because of the rules. I just think you have to be more creative. I just think maybe it takes a little bit more to get there. I think people don't do it. They take the easy route. They want to copy because copying is easier than using your brain and thinking through something. People seem to want easy answers. They want to be spoon-fed success. And that's not going to happen. I mean, it doesn't work that way. Whatnot doesn't work that way. And when you do it, you're chasing somebody else's dream and not your own. So I think a lot of the innovation, in order to be innovative, in order to be yourself, you have to be very grounded in knowing who you are and what your business is to begin with. And that's the foundational, that's the root of the problem, is people don't know who they are or what their business is. So it's easier just to say, oh, well, look at, they're successful, I'm just going to do what they do. Because it's easier to copy somebody else than it is to really understand yourself. So I'm going to stop there because, like I said, I got a lot of other stuff. But
so you guys both hit on some notes that I had. One, copywriting a show. Can a seller actually own a show format? I don't think they can. I don't think you can prevent anybody from copying what you're doing. And Tracy, you talked about copying being the lazy way out, and lack of innovation. And I have that in my show notes as well. Tony and I, in our seller support chats, have always told people to go out and look at other shows and watch what other people are doing and what works well and what doesn't work well. And then to take those ideas and improve them and make them your own. And I can tell you, I honestly do not think there is one actual original idea that I Love Discounts has brought to Whatnot.
Chubby Bucks.
But that wasn't. We still had an idea from another seller. We evolved that idea to something that worked for us. And the Chubby Bucks wasn't even a giveaway in the other seller's show. Yes. But it was
a spark.
It was a spark that ignited an idea of what we turned it into. So there's nothing that's completely original for I Love Discounts, and maybe that's a problem. And I know innovation and the copying is really big in the handmade community, and I definitely want to touch on that tonight. They talk about it all the time, and obviously in that community there's a lot more hurt that it can do to someone's business. But most people come onto the app, or really with anything, they observe, they borrow ideas, they improve those ideas, and then you eventually turn it into a brand. Think about bands. Most bands start out doing cover songs, and then they eventually, they might have always been writing their own songs, but they get known first and start to get popular by doing cover songs before they start doing their own songs. So I'm going to keep mine short and sweet too. What you got, Tony?
Well, it's hard for me and Lysandra to follow each other because we're the same team. But I will say this: when we came onto Whatnot 15 months ago, at this point, 15. We had never heard of Whatnot. We knew nothing about Whatnot. Lysandra and I both got on the app and started perusing through all the shows. What do we like? What do we not like? And literally just started keeping a list of just little tidbits. I like this, I like that. I don't want to ever do this. I don't ever want to do that. And if I ever call the chat, smack me in the head, that kind of stuff. we took about 2 weeks of going through all the shows and just kind of picking apart what we liked versus what we didn't like to kind of form how we wanted our show to be. I mean, back then we had 2 truckloads of health and beauty. We were there. There's no special sauce in selling health and beauty. It was dollar starts and run as much of it as you possibly can, and just how did we want that show to be entertaining, and what did we want to bring to the app? And I feel like we've done that. We've done pretty well over 15 months and keeping people entertained. We've switched formats of selling a few times based on product. But I feel like the core, when she said we have never really came up with an original idea, maybe not. But I think all of it just stems from, as Jeremy said, it's hard to come up with an original idea at this point. It's been 5 years, and how many sellers are there on Whatnot? There's 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 different sellers. And you can't, I don't say you can't. It's very difficult to have an original thought in a pool of that many people. Again, and so I don't necessarily, no, she's like, I'm stopping you right there. The reason why I say that is it's very difficult to come up with a new way, a new thing, something that no one has ever seen before. But there's nothing wrong with taking an idea here or there and turning it into something that is your own. We've done it with lots of things. Chubby Bucks is one of them. There's lots of things, but I don't necessarily see a huge issue in finding what I like out of a show and incorporating it in some way, shape, or form. And I'm gonna stop there because my wife is stopping me. What?
It's going to be the sellers that can think of original ideas and bring them to Whatnot that are always going to be the most successful. Are they going to get copied if it's a good idea? 100%, which means you constantly have to innovate and change your environment, as Jeremy likes to say, because it's all about the environment that you create. That's all I had to add to that.
Okay.
I just want to point, I view things, of course, a little bit differently. Like what Tracy was talking about, the business principles, and that to me is like the functional aspects of operating on here. When I think more along the lines of innovation, it has to do with like how to take those and do something outside of that and put a layer over that, like the regular, using shipping strategies and functional attributes and running certain model types, but laying something over top of that. And that's where I was talking about, where I think the opportunity for that is 100%. I mean, it is way limited to comparison, and hard because it's limited, because before it was a wild, wild west. I mean, we, think about, back then, I was around when raid trains were a thing before raiding was even an option. Like, you couldn't even raid. That was not a function and Whatnot. Somebody came up with that idea, and that involved your regular standard functional practice on Whatnot, but applied another layer on top of that. And to me, that's what I'm talking. That's the stuff that I really feel that people kind of like to create or have a sense of like ownership. Like I originated that idea, kind of like the raid trains then evolved to where it was before it was just a fun thing people did, then it became a competitive, which was another layer on top of it. And that's the stuff that I think of when I'm thinking like, I want to be innovative. I want to think of new ideas, and what can I think of that's outside of the box to lay over top of what's already existing. And like you were saying, Lysandra, one, there's hardly anything under the sun that hasn't been done, and two, to do it so different that doesn't seem like you're just outright mimicking somebody else is kind of hard these days, and I think it's going to get harder and harder for that as things go
100%.
on. But what was the other thing I was thinking of? Oh yeah, chat shows. The entire community section on Whatnot got created because a couple of people started doing chat shows on Whatnot. And to be honest with you, there was a day that I sat there and watched somebody just having a chat show, and you were talking, Tracy, about like, oh, the normal on Whatnot is, you buy stuff, you sell it, and you have your business. I'm simplifying it to the extreme. But I remember watching, like, why are people on this buying app and just watching somebody not sell anything? I mean, that was like a crazy, weird concept to me. Like, I don't understand. But lo and behold, I obviously adopted that at one point in time, and a small portion started having chat shows. And then next thing you know, eventually there was an entire category, the community category, that was a home for that spot to go. But do I think there's opportunity for, I think it's kind of up to, I think for there to be another wave of opportunity of innovation on Whatnot. I think it's on live selling, but again, we all talk about Whatnot so much because that's our primary platform of selling. I think it's going to be up to them to kind of carve out new opportunities or open up the door to opportunities. Me, I'm always a big, advocate for like the advertising avenue, the more social elements, to create more of that entertainment, because we used to have tons of opportunity for entertainment applications. Like I said, we did Monday Morning Memory. We had, like I said, the bingo, the showcase showdown, the progressive banana bonus. All that stuff was great, entertaining, and fun elements that are now gone. We can't do it anymore. And what people could have made out of those things or expanded on, I would like to see part of the platforms kind of open up some windows for especially with the new wave, the aspect that Whatnot is getting so large that they're going to have to open some of those avenues so some other people can get their foot, solidly grounded and open up the opportunities for them to succeed. Because if something like that, in my opinion, doesn't start happening, the ability to innovate is going to stagnate the entire platform. And I don't, it's just going to be small stepping stones of, we're going to layer my innovation on top of somebody else's. There doesn't seem the opportunity. And it might just be me because I've missed the glory days of Whatnot 5 years ago when there was just wild, wild west and all these opportunities right in front of us. But I think there's an option there for the platform to open that up. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. The reason I'm saying this about the exposure of Whatnot is becoming astronomical in comparison to what it was just a year ago. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't go to a market anymore without people being there. And now I'm feeling the closeness of other Whatnotters getting to my sources. And that, just like I said, eventually it's going to come down to, it's just like the old eBay days when you'd go to an auction and the old auction sitters got mad at you because they knew you were looking on your phone for prices to know what to bid on something. They knew you were coming in, and then suddenly all the prices of what they were buying stuff for had gone up. The same thing's going to start happening. And the way you increase your valuations on items on a platform like this is to be different than everybody else. So it's essential, in my opinion, to be innovative in order to really succeed. And it's going to become more and more important, but yet at the same time harder and harder unless some doors are opened. Again, I'm gonna stop there. So,
and I'm still sticking with. I see what you're saying, that there's limited tools, there's limited, possibilities within Whatnot. I still feel, though, that if you know where your business is, thinking outside your box, capitalizing on your skills, your experience, your uniqueness allows you to innovate. The problem lies in people are jumping to everybody else's boxes instead of focusing on their own. So without a goal or a guide, how are you supposed to be super innovative and come up with something that nobody else does if you don't know where your business is going, if you don't have plans for your business or a thought about what I want my business to look like? I've been innovating on Whatnot pretty darn well, and I have a whole bunch of more ideas that I've never seen anybody do. I still think there's possibilities to be innovative. You know, if you're capitalizing on your unique skill set that you bring to the table, and all of us bring something different. So while there may be similarities, we may look the same in some of the experience. I mean, some of it may be kind of what you're saying, some continuous improvement, the layers of continuously improving ideas. I still think there's a ton of room for innovation if we get focused and grounded in on where our businesses are going instead of everybody else's. I do want to point out Moonsky Vintage made a comment a while back, and I don't want us to ignore it. So I'm pretty sure this is on the same topic. I'm not sure what you're saying on co-selling. Maybe you guys understand. Co-selling has been huge help to gather data to see what works and what doesn't.
So I think I'm going to pull up Jack's Treasures. He does a t-shirt battle where, and this is what I would think of when someone says co-selling. He does a t-shirt battle where he will co-host you into his show, and you battle it out on t-shirts, and whoever gets the highest bid on their t-shirt wins the round. And unfortunately right now with Whatnot, it's still clunky because not each seller can run their own t-shirt. There has to be a lot of trust there, where one seller is running all the auctions and then generates the labels, emails the labels to the other sellers, so each person can get their shows out. I sell and have our invoices.
Yeah,
really.
you got to realize we're talking about live selling. Moon's guys talking about district. They allow co-selling with individuals.
Oh, gotcha. On Whatnot, you cannot.
Yes. So on the district app, you can. That's why.
Thank you for clarifying, Moon's guy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to let you finish. We can continue the conversation. I do want to mention something, Tracy, as far as what you were talking about. Maybe I have a little bit of bitterness in me that it was so easy at the beginning, that innovation. I could be honest.
I mean, is it easy? It's not easy to come up with new ideas. I'm not saying that this
No. I'm saying I know, but in comparison, it was way. I know you don't. If you go back there and realize the amount of stuff you could do and how nobody had ever done it before, it was. I mean, if no one did anything, it makes it easy for you to be the first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because it was so fresh and new, so I might have a twinge of bitterness to the joy that I had back then. I don't see the same, and I have to work harder. I mean, who wants to work harder to do the same thing you could do in the past?
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm joking, but I'm not at the same time. But yeah, I mean, we all know on a touch of what Moon Sky's talking about.
If district could offer that, that's their leaps and bounds ahead of Whatnot on that, because I personally find battle shows between sellers insanely entertaining. You've got two personalities pushing the same product. There's the competitive aspect, which Tony and I love. We're very competitive people. Why Whatnot hasn't progressed to do that, I don't know.
Those are the elements that I'm kind of talking about. Doing something like that would open up the doors for a fresh batch of ideas, whether that, and that's when it's a community-based selling platform. So let's say something like that happens. It allows the people with the following, the clout and the trust to innovate upon that for the rest of the community to benefit. So not only is innovation, like I know we got on this innovate or originate, things like that, like what I was talking about with the like you're saying the battling aspect, but all the different style of co-selling, either the game style you could do that wouldn't violate any rules in terms of service, the help that I think people would enjoy just going in and seeing, a large seller helping out a small seller, live during a sale. And then, any of the gaming, the competitive, attributes, those are the easy ones. And then there's probably a plethora of other, ideas that could fall right under if that was something. That's the stuff I'm talking about that I would like to see live selling platforms in particular, whatnot, undertake, because I think it would create another element of innovation that would be an opportunity for all to take advantage of. So again, I
There,
got to stop talking or I'll just
there's
eat up all the
actually
time.
there's a raid train, and I don't think it ever got off the ground, probably because the lack of capabilities on
Mhm.
whatnot. And it was about pairing small sellers with a larger
Yeah.
seller, and that larger seller helping the smaller seller. But I think it was limited because in reality, you could kind of talk with them outside of the show, but really all they could do was just raid into the smaller seller and throw their room count into there. But man, if you could co-host and do it all together, there'd be a lot there, and I think that raid train would have some place to go.
It'd just be a whole, you know, I don't want to get stuck on that topic, but like I said, it's stuff like that that would,
I mean,
that I think would help a lot.
Jeremy, you say it's hard to innovate, but I don't let
Harder.
your head get too big. But I find you one of the more innovative sellers on Whatnot. You know, you're the first person that I really seen to come out with cards. And some of the prices you've gotten for your cards blows my mind.
Here,
My mind.
yeah, first of all, I appreciate the compliment, but what you have to understand, I'm doing what Tracy is saying. All I'm doing is doing my standard. I'm not sitting down like I did in the past. Okay, in the past when Whatnot was new, these other ideas were a result of brainstorming. Okay, now this could be because now I have 5 years of experience. I am now instead doing my business as usual and capitalizing on opportunities. The cards were created out of not even a necessity, of something that seemed like it would be a good idea and everyone else latched on. So it was really a community effort that creates a lot of what happens now. So, you know, am I being innovative? Maybe, but it's more of a, you know, just more of me capitalizing on the opportunity than it is. This is just my own personal definition. I'm capitalizing on an opportunity. Would some consider it innovative? You do. Me, innovation for myself is sitting down and thinking of an idea and taking it to completion, you know, to some type of success. That's just my own metrics of what I consider. And maybe that's part of the problem when we sit here and talk about it. You know, the definitions in our mind of what's considered being innovative or imitating someone could be, you know, could be completely different, which I'm finding out to be pretty much the case now that we're talking together. But, you know, again, I appreciate the compliment, but that is really all I'm doing. Like that's where the card thing came from, and I'm sure there's probably other things you could point out that I would probably just say like that just came out of, you know, it just kind of ended up happening. Me capitalizing on potential opportunities that presented themselves.
But go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tracy.
I was going to say, but that's what I'm talking about is you're very grounded in knowing, one, who you are and what your business is and where your business is going. You have very definite thoughts on what you want to do this year down the road. You know, I know you say you don't do goals, but you have expressed very definite plans. For the sellers who don't have that, they're going to lack the innovation. To me, that is a necessity before you can even get to the innovation. Because maybe these ideas aren't brand new ideas. I have rewards cards. They're coupons. You know, big reality check. They're nothing but coupons. But they're coupons done in a different way that nobody else has done them. So it's coming up with ideas. I guess maybe your layering concept is sinking in a little bit more to me here. But it's just using what's there in ways that other people haven't seen or aren't doing. And maybe it's not just in your category. I mean, maybe somebody's doing this and they're in cards. I don't go in cards. Maybe they're doing it in cards, but I'm doing it with vintage and jewelry and different products. So that's kind of my concept of innovation. It doesn't always have to be this grand big thing.
Mutzka has a good point. Jeremy takes it further by testing it, and not only takes it further by testing it, it also encouraged other people to test their limits and test his ideas in some shape or form.
And that's one of the next things I was going to bring up is, you know, when Jeremy tried to do a reverse auction, I don't know when that was, 8-9 months ago, you know, you tried it, you didn't really like it. You're like, the limitations of Whatnot system sucks. And that's just where I'm leaving it. But then Tracy was like, hey, I want to try this. she does it, and I don't know where you're sitting on with it now, Tracy, but
Love it still,
you know,
yeah.
she figured out some of the ways around that clunkiness by using OBS
Mhm.
and doing her own little countdown, or putting her, and then people talked about, and I talked about with you, Tracy, that I was trying to find your tells on where your bottom price was. So what'd you do? You went on OBS and you're like, no, oh, create me my numbers in a bubble.
Yeah.
But I think you
Um,
bring up
so-
a good point, though, because there's some etiquette in that too. So, yes, there was imitation to some degree. And I mean, I didn't even know what a reverse auction was till I was sitting in Jeremy's show one morning and he starts talking about it, and light bulbs are going off. And I'm like, this is amazing.
Yep.
I love this. I want to do this. But I didn't just go and copy. I reached out to him. There's some etiquette too
Mhm.
within the whole whatnot community of, you know, I reached out, hey, do you mind if I do this? He's like, no, go for it. So
Right.
if you just take exactly copy somebody's idea, that's imitating. Is going to get frowned on.
Mhm.
At least have some I don't know, niceties in all of that.
Yeah, and that brings me back to what I said at the very beginning. There's certain elements that'd be nice if you kind of, but that was one of those things that I thought for the entirety of the platform would be a nice addition, a functional aspect of doing reverse auctions for new people. It's a better option than reserves. And I don't know if you remember, Lysandra, I had done several reverse auctions when I had Hummels. That's where the first time I ever had the concept of doing a reverse auction. I'm like, how am I going to make money on these Hummels? I'm going to try a reverse auction. And that's when, like I said, it wasn't too long after that Whatnot accidentally revealed that they were working on doing reverse auctions, and it got completely scrapped. That's where I get a little sad and disheartened by, I know that those elements are there and they were interested in doing it, but for some reason they decided not to. And I think that, again, the reverse auctions, I mean, I can't even imagine, like you said, Tracy, your gears started turning just based on the little bit that I was talking about it. What's the entire community going to be able to do with it if they would decide to allow stuff like that? And it still blows my mind that that kind of stuff is not what they're adding, that they keep working on the things they currently are working on. I don't want to get into that because then I'll never shut up. But you know, reverse auctions, the co-selling, like those type of things, they don't seem like they, you know, right on the surface as they're mechanically designed, doesn't seem like a whole lot, but what people and their imaginations can do with it in a community this large, especially now, you know, is pretty astronomical. I mean, I don't bother sitting down. I sat down and I was going to do a show called Perfect Strangers. I even told everybody, like, hey, let me know if you're interested in doing this, because Whatnot promised, they said within 6 months we were going to have co-selling capabilities, and that was 2 years ago. And I was game planning an entire show where I was going to bring people on and co-sell. It was going to be called Perfect Strangers, and I don't even remember what the underlying principles and ideas for it anymore are. And that's that, you know, and it's essentially dead in my mind now. And that's what I think Whatnot doesn't want to be happening. So anyway, I'm going to stop. You're just going to keep hearing me gripe. So
What's new?
yeah,
Sandra,
what's
I
new?
just have
Grumpy?
to say, when you were talking about Jack's Treasures t-shirt thing, there's a part of my brain, all I can think about is the tax and accounting nightmare of that whole scenario. Like you're describing it, and my heart, I'm just having anxiety. I'm like, oh, that just sounds like some
Yeah.
bad stuff on the back
Well,
end.
yeah, I mean,
On the front end, yes.
Yeah, that's the other layer. You are 100% right. You try to makeshift that kind of stuff. All those sales go on his books. It's not as simple
Yeah.
as just printing out the shipping. Like he has to deal with that. Then he has to deal with the back end accounting aspects of it.
And
Now,
And
luckily,
honestly, I
luckily
think-
for him, it's once a month. It's 15 sales.
I know. I don't think it's anything big, but
It's not.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, what Tracy's talking about, Tracy's going to think about that, and anybody else that
100%.
would want to leverage that to another layer, to another level, I mean, isn't going to do it because one, it's going to be too much work, and two, it's going to be more work than they realize the more they think about it when they start thinking about things like that. Now I got to deal with this on my books, and
Yeah.
it's not just
I mean,
dealing with labels and the customer service and all that. I mean,
Think about the health and beauty one that we saw originally. That was the first battle show I ever saw and whatnot. Sorry, I'm for anybody over there. My husband's sitting over here, and I keep looking at him. I'm sorry, but you know, in that one, they were dealing with hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, some of those auctions went for $400 or $500, and
They were doing.
how did they do
They did
the
like-
accounting on the back end, or did someone just take that sales and is going to pay the?
They did like
'Cause
50 items, and they were probably averaging $80 to $100 an item.
I saw some go
Wow.
for like $300-$400.
Yeah, and then some went
So
40.
yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. And again, Jack's t-shirt battle, you know, you're talking about maybe $150 over the course of the whole battle.
Yeah.
But when you
I know,
when
but-
you get bigger, it
again, we're
definitely
talking
gonna
about
be tough.
opening opportunities for innovation on these platforms.
Yes.
Everything we're talking about is what is closing that, not opening it. So
what other ones do I have? I will say one thing that I have recently copied: Jeremy's shipping system. I totally did.
to me that again, I'll let you finish talking about it, but that's just like what Tracy was saying. I separate those. To me, that's just business practices you put in to make your business work. I don't know if I consider it a part of innovation. Again, that's what I'm viewing the definitions, you know, in my head. But anyway, you can go on what you were saying.
Oh, nothing. I just, I'm so proud of myself. I wrote out a 44-page training manual for my shipper, and but it was kind of based off of your multi-step process. And I'm sure there's plenty of other sellers that have a very similar multi-step and verification process going on, just not that I had heard of. And I kind of went, while it's only one person instead of 3 people or however many people you have, there's still multi-steps of verification, and the steps within the shipping system are completely separated. So he picks the order, then he picks all the orders, and then he goes back and he ships all the orders, and there's verification with each one of those steps. But
Yeah.
I hope
I
hope
hope-
once we get it going, maybe we can improve it. But I mean, we're
And-
not there yet.
And no,
I hope
she
for
was
you
not
too.
joking when she said she wrote a 44-page manual for shipping.
But he's very type A. He's very type A.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
And a very anxious type A person, and it was good for him. Like Tony got mad at me because I was like, the day he came in, he was starting shipping. I was like, all right, I want you to go read this manual. And Tony just like rolled it like Jeremy didn't do it. Tony was so mad. I was like, no, I wrote it. I took the time. I said he needs to read it. He's that type of person. He's gonna want to read it.
He's absolutely that type of person.
And-
but
And Tony
I
was
just want to
like,
get into
there goes my money.
it. Yeah.
Anyway.
in her defense, I'm not mad about the manual. I'm not mad about putting this into place, right? It needs to become a trainable process for the next person or the next person or the next person down the line. I need shipping to be out of my hands as much as possible for us to do any chance of growing our sales channel.
Yeah.
So
But
I'm
that's
not
the
annoyed
first
by
step.
this.
That's the first step in scalability. So getting it
Yeah.
out of your head and onto paper where somebody else can duplicate it is your very first
Yes.
step in scalability. Because you can't scale anything when it's all just in your head. So I
100%.
commend you. I think
Anyway.
44 pages is a little long. We may need to talk about concepts of adult learning, but we'll take that
It was
offline.
perfect. There's a whole section about common problem or common issues that shippers make, and ways you go back and fix those. Anyway, we're way off topic.
Yes.
Well,
The point was that I used Jeremy's
real-
system and did it.
Yeah.
I have scribes, people. I even did scribes for them.
That's why shadowing helps, that Moon Sky said, is kind of the system. We have a new person starting, and I don't just have them shadow in the selling, in the shipping. They're going to be helping me so they understand
Yep,
Yeah.
the whole
the beginning, the whole way.
Shadowing, I don't necessarily agree with shadowing. No. They need to understand. They need to actually do it, not just stand behind and watch it happen. I don't.
It's the first thing I do is you have them watch, then do, and then go to the next step. Watch, then do. That's my process.
Look, Penny
And I
just
hire the,
oh,
and keep in mind, we're talking about different personality types. The personality types that fit in best with our business and all the like-minded people in there. And I like, everyone likes to have it that way. It just, everyone's gets along way better. They're usually the type of people that are going to learn better that way. Very similar to me, and I'm better at teaching that way. So we obviously are naturally going to hire people that fit that mold.
Yes.
Like the person that I'm hiring, if I gave them a manual, it would be like you giving me a manual. I'd be like, I'm not going to be here long. If I came, I'm just in all seriousness. If I came to you and you handed me a 44-page book and said, "Go read this," my mind would have been like, do I go for the door or do I go sit down and read?
No.
So for those of you who probably don't know, in addition to being a CPA, part of my job as a CPA is to write trainings
Manual.
for adult learners. Not necessarily manuals, but I write trainings. See, do, teach is the basic concept of any learning. So you see it, you do it, and you teach it. Teaching doesn't mean teach it to the next person. You can do a teach back. So Lysandra, I don't think you're very far off. So you need to see it, they need to do it, and then they should come back to you and tell you how to do it without the manual. Then you know that learning's sinking in. So.
Yeah.
Lysandra,
Yeah. Hey, and honestly, guys, I'm the same way. I would not read that manual. I would hate it, every bit of it. But it was wrote, one, to have a trainable system, but two, because he is that type of person. And after the first day of shipping, he thanked me. And he enjoyed that he got to read the whole process first before he went and installed it and then did it. Anyway, again, we're way off topic.
Well, I mean that's fine. It's what we do here. So,
Millicent wants pictures, Lysandra. Millicent wants
you
pictures.
want pictures?
But I have to jump on Jeremy's boat here too. Having somebody see the whole process, even if they're just a shipper, they should totally understand from the minute that the inventory comes in, even beforehand, if they get some type of understanding of that, all the way until it gets to the customer. They should understand that process so they know what their role is. And then the second part of that is the WIFM, what's in it for me? Okay, I may be shipping, but what's in this for me? More than just a paycheck. That's not enough motivation these days. So.
I'll agree with putting your shippers onto your show. We've downsized so much that both of our employees at this point have helped us with shows, but there's so many different things that can happen during the show that is different from the standardized shipping, or little nuances, or little mistakes, and I agree. I think anybody else we ever bring in for shipping will also go through the same process of going on a show, whether Tony likes it or not.
so what do we do to get back on topic?
I don't know. All right, so I did write down.
So do we steal ideas from people or do we not, people?
So I wrote down the pros
difference.
and cons. Yeah. So, some of the pros of innovation are, hey, this is how I'll restart the whole thing. Some of the pros of innovation is you become the show people talk about. That's huge. You're getting marketing just based off of other people talking about your show and other shows. Yeah. Two is you get a stronger brand identity, because you're the original, and anybody that tries to imitate you or copy you, one, like Jeremy said, it could work against you. But you have the original, you are it. One of the other pros, I can't read my own writing. First mover advantage. And then higher engagement than anybody that copies you. But some of the cons of that is that there's a high failure rate. I was just talking about this because I wrote a manual for my other employee who I did not make him sit down and read it because he's not that type of guy.
He would have walked out the door.
Aaron would have walked out the door. But he's going to be in charge of all of our social media marketing and growth that way. And high failure rate. And a big part of what we talked about on Thursday was that you may put out 10 posts in a day and only one of them may do okay. So every idea that you have is not always going to be successful. Matter of fact, most of them might not be successful. Another con of innovation is buyers may not understand it. And that is one of the things that I did not like about the reverse auction, is the amount of times that I saw Jeremy or Tracy have to stop their show to explain what they were doing. No one else is doing it, so that people don't understand it. And there's a lot of explanation that has to go in to make buyers understand it. It takes time to refine. Your original idea may need 4, 5, 7, 20 versions before it finally actually works. And someone may copy it anyway, especially if it's a good one. So, do you guys have anything to add to that?
I just got
before you do.
Oh, go ahead.
Before you do, Tracy, sorry. SS Vintage put in there, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. We all agree.
EMA does not think that way.
We understand that statement, and it's been on the books forever, as we all know it. But the amount of people that take exception to the imitation is where it's causing the problems. And Lysandra's right. Handmade is one of those categories where you better be careful if you're imitating. Just saying. Okay, sorry, Tracy. Go ahead.
I just have to add on, when you said the fear, I may have mistaken your words a bit, but the fear of failure, that, you know, how many of these new things that you're going to think of is going to fail? Well, what's stronger, that fear that it's going to fail, or the what if it's successful? I think that comes back to who you are.
Failure.
Of course.
I mean, yes, you learn more, but to me, when I'm thinking of a new idea, am I a little afraid it's going to fail? Yeah, obviously. But I'm more driven by, but what if it works? Like, that's a stronger drive than the fear of failure. And I think that comes down to each unique person. Some people, the fear of the failure is a stronger drive. It's like, oh no, I might fail. I can't do this. I'm like, no, what if it works? Like, come on, let's go. You know?
When it comes to this, I've pretty much conditioned myself out of the fear of failure for whatnot, testing and trying different things. It feels like to me, but that's just, you know, something that I personally worked on for years and years. I actually talked about some of that in the chat show this morning, but yeah, if you focus on that, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're so scared to fail, you're not going to end up doing it in the first place. So you might as well just give it a whirl and give it a try. And here's the beauty of that. Here's what I love, and I don't think people capitalize on this. You're in a social environment. The reason why I'm even less fearful to try things is because I'm just open to tell people, I'm going to experiment and I'm going to try this. What do you guys think? And then you do it. And even if you fail, you've built a element of community. But I was trying to think of a different term, but essentially the people that are part of your community, your buyers, your supporters, they feel like they're coming along with you, whether you win, lose, or draw, essentially. And that still solidifies a whole nother layer of connectivity to you and your brand that isn't available in other selling styles.
Yeah. That transparency.
I do want to bring this the whole way. Yeah, to bring it the whole way back to the benefits of live selling in comparison to other things. When you're out there deciding to put your neck out in a world of innovation, if you are transparent, like Tracy said, with your buyers, that you're doing this, you're going to succeed even if it fails, because they know you're doing it for them. They know you're doing it to further your own business. And that's part of the story. And that's part of what builds your brand, that you have the opportunity to, that you do not have in other selling styles. So the more I talk about it and just think about it out loud like this with you guys, there is no really, in my opinion, failure, as long as you're being transparent about what you're doing and why you're doing it with your buyers. So
not just the transparency, it's the transparency and your vulnerability to put yourself out there creates that emotional connection, that buy-in, that emotional buy-in from your supporters. And you can't put a price on that. I mean, that emotional buy-in right there, you have somebody who's going to be with you for the long haul at that point.
Yeah. And that's an element that people don't understand or appreciate enough, in my opinion, with the social selling aspects, that the people are there for you and your story as much as they are for what you have to sell. like I said, the environment that I always talk about, but part of that environment, the reason why we have a following, I mean, we started 5 years ago and people see the progress. They see, the advancement, what's going on. And that's, like Tracy said too, that is something you can't put a price on. You can't get that anywhere else. And the attempt at being innovative allows you to create those elements. So all in all, it sounds to me like the innovation is the way to go, even if it's slapping another layer on top of something that's already pre-existed. So
So I'm going to take it kind of, this is slightly off topic, but Tracy talked about the fear of failing. If there's anybody that is listening to this podcast that is a brand new seller and you haven't went live yet and you've been researching for 6 to 8 months, stop. Just go live and do it. You have researched enough. Do it. Stop being afraid to fail. What's the worst that could happen? You lose a couple bucks, you lose some items, maybe you gain some friends. Maybe you learn a whole lot. That's all I really wanted to touch on if there was anybody that was brand new. So on imitation, I had wrote down that some of the pros were a faster learning curve, lower risk because you're not trying 10 ideas for 9 of them to fail. Platform language already exists, can improve format, kind of going back to like the reverse auctions and what do you call that? What do you call that, Jeremy? Where people take an idea and they improve upon it. What do you call that?
I don't.
You have a term for it?
An idea that was improved.
I have a term for it.
I know. I've heard you say it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm at a loss.
Put them on the spot.
What? Once you remember it, I'll remember it too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It'll probably hit me. What? Yeah.
It's somewhere in my long form notes, but anyway.
Okay.
And then another one I had was it helps new sellers get traction. The cons, you can look like a clone. We've talked about that. Community drama, and this will go back to imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Go into the handmade community and make something exactly like that someone else is doing on Whatnot. It is going to get thrown back in your face so fast it's not even funny. I guarantee it. They do not feel that way whatsoever. And this goes to what Tracy says. Number 3, I said you never develop your own brand voice. You never end up innovating. You're always too worried about what everybody else is doing and trying to copy what's working for them instead of looking at your own business and figuring out what you can do to work for yourself. And then the last con I had for imitating is that it's got a short shelf life. It's already been done. People have already seen it. How long was someone else doing it before you copied and you were doing it, and it might already be kind of on the downturn or the downslope of it being awesome and new and popular. Really, the same people were using it.
I have to disagree with one of your pros there, though. One of the pros was, and remind me exactly what it said. I think the pro was something about less failure or quicker success because it's been done before. Or less risk, maybe. Maybe it was less risk. Lower risk. I completely disagree with that in the sense of somebody comes into Jeremy's show and they see him selling stuff $1, selling stuff left and right. He does it because he understands his numbers and has thought through it, understands the back end of it, understands his business. Same with your show. You do dollar starts. Somebody comes in brand new and they're like, wow, these people are doing dollar starts. They're great. I'm going to do dollar starts. I think
There's
risk
so
is
much
huge.
more behind it.
Yeah, I think just straight up copy increases the risk because you don't think of the business principle that underlies that decision. So you've got to go back to your foundations first and then say, hey, I saw these sellers doing $1 starts. They looked pretty, this looked pretty good. What does that mean to me? What does that mean to my numbers? What does that mean to my business? Then make a decision if you want to do it. So therefore, using your own data, your own business, your goals to reduce the risk.
And we did that exact same thing, Tracy.
Yeah,
When we
I know you did,
were
but I don't think
researching
everybody does.
whatnot. Yeah. When we were researching the 2 weeks, um, one of the huge conversations we had was, do we do dollar starts or do we not? And we agreed that with the product that we had, based on the money that was invested in it, and the money that we'd already recouped from eBay before we'd even sold on whatnot, it was worth it just to do dollar starts and attempt to build our whatnot presence as quickly as possible.
But yet, 15 months later, we still have a discussion on whether we should do dollar starts.
It's never ending
do.
discussion. We have it
It
over here
is.
too.
Well,
Can we talk about the handmade stuff that you mentioned? Because I think that's really
Yeah.
important. So, do
Yeah.
you have any other thoughts before I jump into?
No, go ahead. You take it from there, and I'll see what I can feed off of.
Okay, I can totally understand the hurt feelings of a handmade artist, whether it be creating soap or making a blanket or painting a piece of artwork. However, Whatnot's one small platform. Are you going to get mad of every single person who makes soap in this world? Are you going to go on Etsy and be butthurt because everybody on Etsy made soap or everybody on Etsy's painting paintings? Like, you can't, if they are like signing your name on it and they're like trying to like take something that is obviously yours, okay, that's something. But just because they make a product in the same product category as you, it's a free world. Like, look, there's other people that come on here, and I get the feelings. There's other CPAs that come on Whatnot and want to do tax shows. And I get a little like, wait a minute, this is my little corner of the world. I get a
She's
little
just like
bit
double
defensive.
down on shows.
But at the same time, do you know how many? I got to step back and be a little bit logical about this. Do you know how many CPAs are in the world? And what do we do in real life? We go to networking events together and we make friends with each other so we can refer business to each other. Maybe we need to look at it a little bit differently on Whatnot, a little more like what happens in real life. Just saying. That's my opinion. May not be a popular one.
I think handmade tends to get a little butthurt more about it. And I'm not calling out anybody or anybody from that community. It's one of my favorite communities on Whatnot.
Yep.
But they have they have so much more time and effort and skill put into making one little product to sell than I think us as resellers. And so I can understand why they feel so strongly about their products. I do tend to agree with you. Someone might prefer someone else's soap better, or they might have different formulas. And that's why when you go to the grocery store, how many different bars of soap can you buy from one grocery store? Dozens upon dozens.
Exactly. I saw something on a show today, and I love this seller. This is not a dig in any way, shape, or form. But it was part of a raid train, I think it was, where they were imitating in a good way famous artists' work. And it was a take on a Banksy piece of art. Okay, it's okay for you to do that, but God forbid somebody should copy your work? Like, it's the same concept. Do you think Banksy is like, oh my God, somebody on Whatnot just, drew a piece of art in my style? We've got to have a little more common sense and just kind of like, it doesn't hurt you. Focus on your business and do what you do and do it the best. And that other person is either going to succeed or fail. Like, if your product's a really good product, what are you worried about?
Yeah. I don't, like you guys, I do not get involved or go watch. I mean, I don't watch anything much at all on the platform. And I don't go in there into any of those shows. But one thing I do know from having a family, you kind of touched on it, Lysandra, about, it's something they put a lot of work into. So they're naturally already emotional about it. So your emotional reactions to it, I have a feeling, are just naturally not going to be, it's just going to be hard. I mean, I agree with you, Tracy, 100%. But I think because their emotion, they're thinking more with emotion than logic, in my opinion, because of the elements involved in handmade stuff. I mean, I can see that perspective.
I can see that
from an artist point of view. I can see it. Do I agree with it? No, I agree with what you're saying, Tracy. But the bottom line is I don't think it's going to change. That's just that it's also the traits that come along with that type of environment, with that type of product. You talk to someone like me, and when I do shows, people very frequently for a while would come in and ask, well, how do I do this with handmade? And I would just be like, I can't help you at all. I'm like, that's one of those environments. Like, my answer to you would be, get out of handmade. Like that, but that's not what they're looking for, because I look at that and realize the amount of time and effort, and then what you can end up getting for it, and how easily, because of those reasons, or why, because it's so easy. If somebody comes up with a good concept or an idea in like handmade or arts and craft type of thing, even the like a good idea of how to make something really cool simply, you know, that's plagiarized instantly, and then it's viral, and then everybody's doing it. I mean, I used to go to arts and craft shows, and for a while, one person figured out how to make a freaking marshmallow gun out of a couple of tubes and made a small fortune. And next thing you know, the next arts and craft show, half the stands were selling them. It's just going to happen in that. I mean, it's hard. It's so hard to make money in that when there is an opportunity to, everyone's going to jump on it and do it. So I think it's just kind of baked into that environment, the resentment towards imitation in the handmade categories.
I don't have much else to really to add. I understand why they get so upset, but I think every category has the same problem. People taking ideas and running with them, whether they're innovating that idea and making it their own, or they're just straight up copying. Every category has the same problem.
I had a situation, and this takes it out of the handmade. Like when I did the first Smash Therapy show, that was the show. Like so many people, like, I had this idea, I tried that, I did that. It's like, okay, it's fine. So, it's one of those. It's just, I feel sometimes it's more of they want credit for the original idea.
Right.
Sometimes that's all it would take. I think maybe even that would clear up some, tension in some of those communities. It's like we were talking earlier, like Tracy, you came to me, even though I wouldn't have cared at all. If you would have went and did reverse auction, you didn't need my blessing to do that, because, like I said, I want not to have that as an option for everybody to do it. But that enlightened me to the fact that people just want some type of credit for being the original person to come up with the idea.
I'll be honest, Tony came up with an idea, and there may be someone on Whatnot that has did it, but I haven't seen it, with our earring show. Because if you're a jewelry seller and you buy the lot, you end up with 5 million earrings, just 5 million of them. It's like they constantly breed like rabbits, literally. And so Tony and I, what are we going to do with this? We don't want to keep having earring shows. And what we had found is the more we put them into, when we were still mixing all our jewelry together, we'd end up losing people in our show because they're not interested in earrings. They wanted rings or necklaces or brooches. And here we are, we're trying to get some earrings out of the way.
Just trying to move some earrings, folks.
It wasn't chipping away at that earring pile enough for us. So Tony kind of took, I want to say he got the idea from doing like the choice auctions. Someone puts out 6 items and you're bidding on the choice of one of those 6. And he did a sliding scale on it, though. If it hits $5, you get 2 pairs of earrings. If you hit $10, clear the whole board and you get all 6 pairs. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's someone else doing it on Whatnot. We haven't seen it, but it's been done really, really well for us. And we like the concept. We get rid of earrings. People get amazing deals. And it never fails. At least 3 to 4, 5, 6 people a show ask us if they can run a show that way. And Tony's like, by all means, go for it. And I'm like, but But if everybody else is doing it, then it loses its
What-
value, and we're
what
going
do
to have to figure out some other way to move
What are you gonna say?
200 pairs of earrings at a show.
What are you
Yeah,
gonna say?
No.
No.
No,
Hey,
we can't do it.
hey, can I do that? Do you mind if I take that and run with it?
You might want to
No,
go back
you
to one
can't
of
do
your
it.
pros you wrote down, that how you get recognition and people are talking about you. So if they're
Right.
asking you, you know they're going to be talking about you and giving you credit for it, at least out of the gate. I mean, I know that
Hopefully,
happens.
anyway.
You know, the first. I'm sure they do. I mean, not all of them. Some of them more than others, but that's kind of, that happens. The first show or two, at least, I would assume most of them that are in the mindset to ask you. Those are the people that already understand the principles, and I think they're going to throw some credit your way. And that's, like I said, I mean, if you got people talking about you and what you're doing, that's what you're after.
It's marketing.
And look, I don't want credit because I have a big head or I want my ego boosted. I want those customers to know that I'm selling earrings. They got that idea from me. Hey, come over and buy some earrings when I'm selling earrings.
And
I'm just looking to move products. So
and part of it is we're already working on our next idea on how to move a large amount of earrings in one show, and so eventually that show will change. One thing, and I never said it before, I know Jeremy, I don't know where you're at in the planning process, but you kind of talked about the competitive flea market thing with the teams that are going to go live, shop and sell, and I think it's a fantastic idea. And one of the things that I think is so fantastic about it is it's not going to be easy to copy. So if you are successful in creating that environment, I think you could have a longer runtime with it before it really other people find a way to utilize it within their own show.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Scalability, leverage of the position I'm in. It will be harder for it to proliferate. And if it does, I don't. Again, it doesn't bother me. And that type of thing that I want to do, it has potential to be riddled with hiccups and problems.
correct.
So all it will take is somebody that has a similar opportunity to recognize the problems and capitalize on it and do it better. Very easily
Absolutely.
could happen. I mean, I know what you're saying. There's the good and bad, but if I'm going to be the initial person to do it and somebody else is watching intently, there will be opportunities. But it will, like you said, they have to be in the right area, the right environment. Like you have to have access to flea markets and not everybody. What's that?
You have to have a lot of people.
Yeah, you have to be able to, you have to have a company with, like I'm going to utilize employees out of the gate and some, people that I know. And a lot of people don't converse or have personal connections with people in their surrounding areas that would be willing to partake in it. And, all that, like you said, you are correct. It's going to be a lot harder for other people to undertake.
And that's the only thing I like about our earrings is it really takes a 2-person team. And within the jewelry category, there's not a ton of people that run 2-person teams. And I think that's the only thing that's going to give us a little bit of longevity before we have to move on to the next idea.
Listening to you talk about the earrings and if people do it and do you get credit for it and just kind of all these new ideas, it just popped into my head something that I hadn't previously thought about with this. But a part of the innovation, or maybe not innovation, of taking an idea and improving upon it, is how we market it as business owners too. We could have something that maybe isn't such a totally unique idea. We've just tweaked it and improved it. But the way we present it, the buildup we have to it, the anticipation we create around that idea could put you in a completely different light and move you from imitation to innovation, depending on how
100%.
people view that. So the bigger the new release or whatever it may be, the longer the runway is to that lead up. So I think we have total control and such a huge advantage on how we put it out there, on how we're seen at the end of the day, on whether we imitate or innovate.
If I may weigh in, one of the things that you guys have talked already about and mentioned, but it hasn't been completely clear, is when you generate an idea and someone copies it, the challenge now is on not just the refinement of that idea, but maybe the build on a more complex idea, very similar to what Jeremy does. and then that competition drives more innovation. So it's not stagnant. So you continually have to improve and refine and tweak and make it better. So that innovation itself, it maintains that drive alive.
The old
I agree.
Microsoft philosophy. You take somebody else's idea, make it better, and then somebody else should take it from them and try to make it even better. Is that kind of what you're talking about, Noel?
Yes, kind of like if you look at Android and iPhone, you know, how Android comes up with something and then iPhone might take a little bit longer to come up with the same thing, but now that thing is a little bit more improved. And then Android comes up with something else, and then Apple comes back and says, hey, here it is. So the continuous improvement upon the things that are created, it drives that competition, and at the same time drives that innovation to grow and to make it even more successful and a little bit more established.
But where we get stuck on Whatnot, and I'm not saying us individually, but where I see we get stuck in Whatnot is you get butthurt instead of using it as a source of fuel of, oh, wow, that's cool. I can do that better, or I can do it different. We're like, oh, you copied me? And the drama occurs. So we've got to remove emotion from business. It's business. And how can I make it better? I think we get stuck too much in that, oh, you copied me stage versus, wow, that's really cool. Let's take this to the next step.
That's one of the elements that I enjoy about my practice of not being on this app unless I'm selling. When I say because if I'm copying somebody, I don't know it. It's just it's a pure like, oh, I kind of thought of it myself, or maybe little bits of this here or there, or I caught a hint of it somewhere when I was on for a few minutes, and didn't realize that I picked up on it. But I don't know one way or another. I don't know if somebody's imitating me or if I'm imitating somebody else, and I kind of like it that way. It makes life a little easier for me anyway. So
Collective learning. I don't know if that's the term that you use, Jeremy, but collective learning is when a group of people learn from each other's experiments and successes. One seller tries something, others observe it, refine it, and the entire community gets better. I don't think that was the term you used, but
It was
I
not.
don't think so. There's
it was in my
probably
notes somewhere.
there's probably something similar that I mentioned that's different verbiage, but essentially means the same thing, I'm sure. But don't know.
What else do you have? Do you have anything, babe?
Not at this.
You've been very quiet today.
We can talk about the same thing over and over, but your ideas are my ideas, and my ideas are yours.
So I'll go back to the question: Do you guys actually think a seller can own a show format?
Oh, I do not. I mean, let me tell you something.
Wait, why not?
Well, own a show format?
Why not?
How? Well,
What are you gonna
okay.
do? Copyright it?
That's what I. But here's the thing. Are you talking about own it as in I can stop other people from doing it?
I mean, at some point, there's going to be somebody that does a Price is Right format on Whatnot in their own unique way and patent that.
I mean,
Copyright that.
doesn't the Price is Right own their game concepts?
100%.
Like each little game on the Price is Right, didn't they patent that or
They
copyright
do.
it?
They do. But here, first of all, we get into the weeds of this. I would probably recommend you read anything that's on Whatnot terms of service and how anything you do on here is technically probably rights to them.
Whatnot.
Which means other people can decide to do it and you have no control over it. Don't know that for certain.
I mean, it's in there though.
I have not seen that wording in terms of service.
I haven't looked for it, so I don't know.
It is in the terms of service. Yes,
I'm sure there's
100%.
I'm sure there's some type of verbiage to that extent.
It's
if you come on here.
it's standard on social media platforms that anything that you post on a social media platform is actually owned by the platform, and they can use it in any way they want. It's standard, and Whatnot's a social media
So,
platform.
well, I think we're going to get way off topic with this. What I will tell you this right now. If there's a way to get it done, and I even thought there was, I'd be doing it because I'd be licensing that stuff.
100%.
I wouldn't want to own it. I'd be like, well, I'd want to own it, and then I would
Sell it to you.
Would I do it for? Would I try to do it or look into it? Yes, but I'm pretty certain in my mind that there is a big. You're not going to pull this off and be able to do it per Whatnot terms of service.
So my immediate thought goes to, if Whatnot Sandbox is open for all and you do not have rights to it, then how can sellers and not yeah, maybe even adding Tracy into this, how can you sell a class?
How can you?
How
You
can I
but
sell
there's
a
nothing
class?
stopping somebody else. Oh, you mean like she could like copyright her class material, like a
No,
product?
I mean, even not copywriting, like, there's plenty of people out there selling business concepts and selling, a monthly subscription, if you will, or charging something to get there, right? But if it's an open platform, should that even be allowed?
What do you mean should it? Well,
I
yeah,
think
Whatnot
we're-
allows
yeah.
you to do it.
Yeah, I think we're mixing some concepts here. I think there are people on here who push people to their own platforms to buy a monthly subscription. To me, that's considered taking sales off platform. My understanding of terms of service is that is wrong. Then you have the concept of, can you do a class? Yes, I actually have a class in the works on another
I know.
platform. I'm not going to be pushing it on Whatnot, though. It's going to be pushed on
Gotcha.
various other platforms. I have a Whatnot crowd. I have other people. It's not a monthly subscription thing, but I also have a class on Whatnot that's totally free that anybody can come to. It's a community chat show that is focused on
Correct.
learning how to do accounting. So I think it's how you structure it within the terms of service. But if I'm picking up on what you're saying as far as, can you drive people to a outside subscription based kind of group format, I think that's pushing sales off platform.
Yeah.
And I don't know for certain. Like, could I come on and create some type of Plinko version game and copyright that, and then people go to try to use it? Could I stop them? I don't know, maybe. But
Would you want to?
that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, but I have a feeling that it's more trouble than it would end up being worth for what you'd be trying to accomplish. And I think when it would come to what would really be of value to you, and that would be something like what I said at the top of this conversation, was if I could have copyrighted Pick This Old House and the idea of Pick This Old House on live, like if I would have been able to get intellectual property rights to that concept of live social selling out of an estate, whatever it had to be written up where I would have. I don't think that would. I think that's going one step too far. I don't think that would even be possible to happen. And if it was, I would think somebody would have either tried it and or have accomplished it by now. And then again, even if you get it and you're reliant on another platform to execute it, that platform could put a stop to it probably anyway. They could just be like, all right, you have a target on your back. We want this to be able to proliferate to help it, so either you let it proliferate or you're off the platform. It's so many, I mean, they're not going to say it directly like that, but they're going to make it happen.
Yep.
But
I just thought of something else, Tony, just to add on to that. So as far as like having a class on Whatnot, is somebody else going to, I would bet, a whole month of Whatnot earnings that by the end of this year, somebody's going to have an accounting class on Whatnot because they see that I'm doing it. As far as I know, I'm the first. But I go back to my original statement that I opened at the very beginning that I said, I need to know where my business is, where my business is going, be confident and grounded in who I am and who my business is and what I bring to the table. You know, Joe Schmo that comes in, he might not be a CPA. He might talk too fast. He might talk over people's heads. He may be perfect for other people that I'm not perfect for. So am I going to be copied? I totally expect to be copied. It is going to happen. But the people who know me and like my learning or my teaching style and they get something from me, they're going to keep coming back to me. And that's what I need to focus on is me and my
Right.
business and not Joe Schmo who comes in and copies me.
I don't disagree with that.
Will I
at all.
like it? No, I'm going to be like, who in the heck do you think you are? You know?
Is there any other seller that's going to go through and make a 52 course book to go with their show?
It's only
and plan
12
that
weeks.
far ahead. Yeah,
Oh, well, no, the
but
other
you
one's
said
52
the
weeks,
other
yes.
day in a show you had 52 weeks
I
planned.
do. That's my Friday shows. Fridays are all planned out for the rest of the year.
Oh man,
I'm not that person.
That's yeah. I think you're the aspect of somebody copying you to that extent is very minimal.
Yeah.
Because you have a background, you have a competitive edge over that. So, which leads us into another thing. Like if you're going to look to innovate, one of the smart things to do is to sit down and think about what your competitive edges are. Like Lysandra, you're talking about if I manage to get that the competitive, the show that you were talking about earlier that I want to do, the pick it to win it show. I mean, I'm plagiarizing that show, that entire concept. I am imitating a TV show and bringing it as an innovation on another environment. So, right there, it's both in one. But what I'm getting off of my own topic of sit down and realize what your opportunities are based on your skill set or what you have that other people don't to innovate with, to kind of create an environment of it being your own for a lengthy period of time. And I think that's going to be the case with you, Tracy. You have a background in writing course like material essentially from what you're saying and accounting. So you already took what you do for a living and applied it, and it was very natural. The stuff, what you're telling me, that sounds like an absolute nightmare to do. Like for someone like me, even even if I like you talk about throwing a 44 page again, nightmare to me. Like it's never going to happen. And I'm not saying that everyone out there is like that, but I'm just giving an example of how there's a ton of people that aren't going to even have a desire or the skill set to do it. Like that sounds like one of the most excruciatingly painful concepts for me to undertake that I could ever do.
I fully admit I don't write training materials for a living, and I had help with it, ChatGPT. Totally admit to that.
I understand. Even with that, I wouldn't be doing.
But I really wanted something that I could take and move from person to person to person, and I wanted that process down pat. This is how we do it. Is it going to stay the same over next year, 2 years, 5 years from now? Probably not. We're going to change it and innovate it and find better ways, and that'll change up. But I wanted something concrete that I could train Joe, Becky, and Dan if I needed to. And anyway, I was pretty proud of it.
And then, on that other, never mind. I'm gonna refrain from talking. It's one of those thoughts that I'm like, I'm gonna say something, and it's probably best that I don't.
Oh no, make it spicy.
Those are the good ones. I want to hear it.
Yeah, it's all right.
So
SS Vintage, you're right. I agree with you really quick. Just have to give SS Vintage credit. That banana box definitely should have been patented.
On that note, that was something else I was thinking of, but we weren't contextually talking about it. That's one of those aspects that we did that, and that was like us. So anybody else that did that, it probably would have actually hurt them more than, those are the environments that if you can create that, if anybody else tried to replicate that, people would have been viewed upon
Backfired.
negatively,
Yeah.
backfired. And I think almost everybody at that time, because of the size of the community, today's a different day, but at that time, that was that was us, because that was our flagship show. That's what we did every week, and that's what we were known for. And if anybody else, would have even tried to mimic it, I don't think it would have went very well for them. And if they did, they probably would have been let known by other people in the community that, hey, you're just stealing their idea. But in reality, that's what you want. If you're going to innovate, you want it to be so ingrained with you, and like you were talking about, that if other people start, you get the credit for it, it will then never be as effective for them and be, exponentially effective for you. So, and that was one of those.
I lost it again. I there's something that you said that I wanted to comment on, but I've now lost it twice in my head. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I delivered packages all day for the post office.
While she is trying to figure it out, I will say we've not had very many questions in the chat today. So if there are questions on imitate or innovate or other subjects or topics, feel free. Throw us some bones out there and give us something else to talk about if you want to hear it.
I have a question for all of you in the chat.
Oh.
Name one thing that you have seen another seller do that made you think, I'm definitely trying that. Tony, let's start with you.
I'm definitely trying that. I'm going to have a lot of dead space while I think about that. So if anybody has anything, go ahead first.
Hey, I'm at a disadvantage again because I don't. I don't watch a whole lot, but definitely I wouldn't say. Not hesitant to take the opportunity to employ something, and that's your. I wouldn't be beyond plagiarizing your earring idea.
Oh,
it's fun. It's a fun show.
It's
a fun show.
Yeah, it's an adaptation of me doing my stacking and stuff like that to try to get, just throw more in as the prices go up and stuff. And it's more of a easier concept to follow than when I do that. I'm always subject to a delayed response. People don't understand what's going on. That is extremely clear. If you don't understand what's going on, you understand after the first time it happens. Yes. And easy to pick up. And I think it's a great idea. And I think it can be employed in a lot of other aspects outside of just earrings.
It can.
Yeah, someone asked us the other day about bracelets, if we could do it with bracelets.
Well, and I was like, I'm talking about taking it out of the jewelry cat. I mean,
out of jewelry.
Oh, yeah.
You can just do that 100%. With all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's
100%. I like it because while I'm in the show itself, I don't advocate it because I never want it to be felt like I'm shilling for bids. But if the people in the room say something about, you could just bid yourself up to get to the $10 level and get it all, and that's what happens.
Wait, you're concerned about saying that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, you realize, you guys, if you want to get there, you can. You don't have to.
I don't ever want it to be felt like I'm
a used car salesman.
And I've used that term. I don't want to sound like a used car salesman when I'm selling product.
Yeah,
but you're giving them something.
Yeah, here's. I understand what you're saying about feeling like a used car salesman, but that all has to do with who you are as a person and how you're delivering it. You can tell when someone's doing it in a used car salesman manner, and how and that's kind of one of the reasons I get what you're feeling, what you're saying. I felt that way. Remember that at the beginning I told you about the marble idea?
Yeah.
That I had. It felt, that feels fine and dandy, but then eventually it almost feels like I'm trying to exploit tips.
Yes.
And I didn't want that, so I stopped doing it. But I don't think that's the way everyone else felt. That's the way I felt, and I just decided, because the idea was to reward, but to thank everybody for the tips, but then it started seeming like it might be interpreted as a driver for tips.
Correct.
Instead of for tips.
And I love your idea with that. I
But-
love that idea, the little marble jar. I love that. I think it's fantastic. But I would never do it because I get uncomfortable when people do tips.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. He got rated the other day for his birthday and they started a tip train and he was like, one, he almost cried, but yeah, stop it, guys. Don't do that.
It's
Do
like,
you-
come on, stop it.
But okay, I'm totally with you. I hate the car salesman-y type sales tactics, and I hate being sold to. But if you're confident in what you're bringing to the table and you're explaining the benefits or you're showing what you're giving them, you are like, look, you can have one for $3 or the whole board for when you hit 10. I mean, if you're confident in that and you're not delivering it in a cheesy way, I kind of feel that it comes back to confidence. And I'm not saying it's easy. When I'm trying to sell, something that I've written or a book or a PDF, I feel a little, I get what you're saying because I kind of feel like, or we're in the middle of shows and Noelle's in the back going, hey, look, your count just went up 20 people. Now's the time where you tell people about what you have in your bin. I feel a little weird about it. But I think there's ways to bring it in naturally to the conversation. At least that's what I'm always trying to look for is ways to bring things in naturally. And then having that confidence to do it changes the perspective on how it's received.
And I don't disagree with any of that, Tracy, but those are different scenarios than me as the seller on a show telling everybody in the show that you can bid yourself up to get to the next level and take them all.
Yeah. Yeah, but here's the thing. You can deliver that in a different manner. Like, hey, unfortunately, Whatnot doesn't have an option like at a real live auction to jump in to get what you're after.
Yes.
I mean, and that makes the whole framing completely different.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by used car salesman between not. Sometimes it's just in the authentic way you say it and the framing in which you put it for the way they receive it. And then if it clicks in their head, you don't even have to say like you can bid yourself. You can say like, hey, unfortunately, the only way you can jump bid on here is to bid yourself up, which is an option, like a live auction, to get what you want. And, no one's going to get upset at that. No one's going to think you're a used car salesman. It's completely logical, makes sense. If I want all the earrings, if a live auction had that option, which they don't, but if they did, I'd be able to just yell out $10.
Correct.
You can't do that on Whatnot. So
well, and even with mine, it can go over 10, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's still the winning bid. You don't win it at $10.
I know. I'm just saying, like you feel weird about telling people because you feel like you're being used car salesman. You're trying to get all of them sold, but at the end of the day, it is your job to sell this stuff, and there's way more. That doesn't even scratch the surface, in my opinion, on a used car salesman. You feel to me. And the fact that you feel that way tells me that it's not coming across that way. Because usually when you're concerned about sounding that way, you don't sound that way. And nor do the people in your room feel that you're going to be that way.
Gotcha.
My own personal opinion.
You better smell like that corroded cigarettes.
And Tony, I can guarantee you, I would say with 100% certainty, there are people in your room who are like wanting somebody else to bid it up so they can get the whole board. They're probably sitting there going, come on, somebody bid, bid, bid. You know how we all talk to our phones when we're in auctions? I'm sure somebody's doing that.
And they were doing that, but at least it wasn't coming from me.
Yeah. But that's where again, to me, that comes down to we have to educate the community. Some people don't realize you can bid yourself up.
Also true.
He's like, hey, understand that if you really want it, you can bid yourself up. We're not in a standard auction format where you can just call out a bid number. So go ahead and do it if you really want. If it's worth it to you, you set the expectations and provide them within the roads, the avenue to get there. They're not going to be. I just don't think
coming from me.
You can make it fun.
Tony, what I can appreciate is that you're concerned about it.
Yes,
that's a nice thing.
And in some ways you do though, and you don't even realize it. Like when someone's got a $4 bid, and you're like, "Are we gonna get to 5? Who wants the second set?
Yeah.
Who wants 2 sets for just $1 more?"
Man, it's silly to pay $4 for one when you can pay $5 for 2. I mean,
exactly.
that's so silly.
See, And you do it so naturally, and you can make it fun too. You could be like, "You want that whole board? Knock out your competition. Come on, they all can be yours." I mean,
Right.
without it
Right.
being, make it fun. Like they're like, "Oh, you want to knock out your competition? Don't let them choose for you."
or,
You know, stuff like that.
you
I
know,
think you have it
if you
there.
feel like you're getting too salesman, you just say you'll throw in a second set of Ginsu knives for free. And everyone will be fine. They all laugh just like that, and you're good to go. You're done. Everyone's fine.
Or you can
Washes
have
that away.
you can have someone.
All right, Ron Popeil.
You can have someone like Tracy when you're bidding, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bid you up," and she bids me.
You want me
up.
just to come talk smack in your chat? Well, you know, your earnings are running.
Dude,
Bring it up.
look, Tony and I will bid each other up at a live, real person auction. I swear, it's happened so many times. It's not even funny. And we've done it in a whatnot show too.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
I feel that,
Live
Lysandra. I
auctions,
feel
there-
that.
There is no opportunity for that. I jump bid all the time anymore when I go to live auction. But that's a topic for another show.
So I'll admit to an idea that I would like to copy and make it our own is Tracy's coupon codes.
Go for it.
I love them. I love the idea of them, but I want to implement them in a way that makes it I love discounts and not Zoe's treasures. And especially for us because Tracy and us share so many of the same people,
The customers,
that
yeah.
customer base. I have to make sure it's entirely different. But I love the idea that you created something that forces people to save flipping cards. Do you know I have all 5 cards but number 5?
Do you know she was like,
You know, there's
today-
9.
Wait, I took
There's
all the
9.
cards away.
Today's envelope came in. She's like, that better be my number 5.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Wait,
And
do I
and
hear you
next
correctly?
quarter,
Are you putting coupon codes on cards that are collectible?
they're not necessarily collectible, but you save them.
completely-
Oh, I totally yes. Takes 2 seconds,
I
goes
don't
right over
even
my
use
head.
them. That's the worst part.
No, she doesn't use the coupons. She just wants to have them all just in case.
No, so what Tracy does is they got the coupon codes on them, and what do? You did 1 through 9 on your first quarter, and then you're gonna do 10 through like 18. Yeah, there they are. And but she can combine the codes to make custom coupon codes for
Yes,
each
sir.
show.
Yeah.
This one's worth
I-
$2,
Coupons.
and then those 2 together are worth 5.
I love it because you created a product that people keep, and they keep it within reach.
Mm-hmm.
Every show.
Because I'm not gonna lie, Jeremy, your codes are one-time use.
Oh,
I
yeah.
threw them away. The only card I ever kept of yours was the hypocrisy card.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one.
Just for hypocrisy's sake.
Yep, just for hypocrisy's sake. But I like Tracy's because they're an ongoing thing. It forces you to keep them. It forces you to keep them right there. And so I want to try to implement something of that same strategy that makes you keep the card right there.
Yeah.
My goal is to make people regret getting rid of them. That's after the marketing plan is.
I've already regretted her throwing all your cards away.
I did.
Oh crap! I didn't know I was supposed to keep them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what
And this is funny because Tony has Thriftworks cards. I don't understand trading cards to begin with at all. I don't understand the baseball and football. I just don't get them. Like, why? Why?
SS says I threw out at least 200 green 13.
Oh my
Yeah. Now, whoa. SS is talking before that. Any of the marketing, any of the individual. It was just a card we put in. Well, I don't even remember SS. You'd have to remind me. It was basically a thank you card that we did from day one.
Gotcha.
To basically tell people, how to contact us. And you got to realize back then, Whatnot you couldn't communicate with anybody. There was no messaging on Whatnot.
Wow.
That's nuts.
Yeah, you would just sell, and that's it. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. How the opportunities and the rawness of Whatnot was absolutely crazy. So we were like, how's anyone going to let us know if there's issue or if there anything like that? Because we're new. So we put a card in there for a way like, hey, if there's a problem, let us know. Because it was literally a business card. Like here's our contact information,
Right.
so you can get a hold of us if there's a problem. because there was no messaging option on Whatnot. I mean, tell me how. I
That's
know it sounds
insane.
weird, but that was so awesome.
Yeah. I was going to say,
And
that would have been a fantastic time to be a seller.
but at the same time, the other thing that the cards did was eliminated the thing that we discovered early on, because there was no communication. The only way they could contact you or communicate with you was via the chat in the show, which would disturb your sales.
Yep.
So we were like, how do we stop that? Oh, let's send cards so they can contact us, so they don't have to do it within the sale.
Yeah.
Because that was the only, they would have to wait till you were live. That's a pain in the butt from the customer service standpoint. Even though Whatnot was taking care of all the customer service, there were still elements that you wanted to be in control of, because if you had too many problems, you didn't know about it. And if you had too many problems, Whatnot would, potentially give you a hard time. You didn't know what was going to cause an issue to get you kicked off, because you heard of people getting kicked off. It was all rumor. You didn't know any of that. So you had to just do all that kind of stuff in order to create some type of insurance for yourself. So people were contacting you with issues. So if you had a problem you had to correct, you could, or that you could deal with it. Whether that would be in your system or the actual item itself being a problem, so you wouldn't have any negative results, effects, because there was no gauge. No one knew, because you would hear one person gets one strike and there's zero tolerance and they're gone, and the next person, even though that's what people are saying now, it was way worse back then.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but again, bunny trail, but yeah.
I do want to kind of put a disclaimer out there. When we're talking about copying sellers and things like that, and taking ideas from sellers, make sure you read terms of service and make sure it's not against terms of service.
Oh,
One
because of the one I wanted to do?
one
Surprise?
no, well,
Or whatever.
maybe, but really the big one I've seen lately are discount codes and giveaways.
Yes.
We went through a big ordeal. So we do discount codes as giveaways for raids, and we call them chubby bucks. The name came from another seller. We saw someone doing juice lots with a bucket of makeup.
They called it a chubby
called
bucket.
it a chubby bucket, which then we took it for our buyer's giveaway, which we called a chub box, and then we did chubby bucks.
It was one of those sellers that we saw in those first 2 weeks before we started selling. I have never seen those sellers.
I haven't either.
Ever.
I haven't either. But
I took chubby.
so and we've kind of, I don't know that we're ever going to be able to quit chubby bucks, because I know you're Tracy, you're not the only person that says that when you mention us, they're like, chubby bucks, yeah, let's go to I Love Discount.
Yep.
So
I was hoping I'd have 50 people a week who would say, oh, let's go get some chubby bucks and go to I Love Discounts.
So
great.
And doing a discount code as a giveaway was not our idea either. We saw a smaller seller doing it. And so what we did is we went to the TOS, we looked at the rules, and we're like, okay, I think we can do it in this manner, and we started doing it. I've noticed that it seems like it started with one big seller that was switched from gift card giveaways to discount codes off of future shows.
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
Yeah. The terms of service say you can't give away something for a few. That's why my bingo show died.
Correct. It has to be within the same show. But the problem is that one big seller started it, and it is so common right now. It like spread like wildfire, and the amount of people giving away discount codes as giveaways to future shows, like I can't even count on my hands and toes.
No.
My fingers and toes. My hands and toes.
We love I know, Michelle. So
make sure if you're going to imitate another seller, make sure you're within terms of service. And another example is Tony saw a high-end jewelry show, and we've really been struggling on how to. We're afraid to do dollar starts on high-end jewelry. And he saw kind of like a surprise set show. We even called a couple people that do surprise sets. And this was a premier seller on Whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It's against terms of service. Can't do it. And Tony's like, well, we're going to do it anyway. I said, no, we're not. So just be careful if you're going to imitate another seller.
Yeah. Just because somebody's getting away with it doesn't mean you're going to.
100%.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's life, whether you like it or not.
But
That's the way it is. And it happens.
But I really like that surprise set show.
Yeah, it was fun.
I really liked that. It was really nice.
And some of the kind of along the same lines is that what you're talking about, thinking ahead, reading the terms of service. My kind of imitation story, not somebody that I want to imitate, but what happened to me was I had a logo. I created it in Canva. It was a very easy, like one of the top, you open up Canva as the free version, changed my name, added a few things, but it was a very common type picture, even though nobody else was using it. I used it for a year, kept branding myself. I had it on all kinds of printed cards and materials and everything under the sun. And then lo and behold, one of my customers shows up, turns into a buyer. The exact same logo, just took Zoe's Treasures out and put their name in. I mean, complete
I remember
copy.
asking you
Yeah.
about that. Like, hey, what's up? There's like 4 different sellers running around with
Yes.
your same type of logo.
So we need to think as business owners, as when we're first starting out, think about your logo. Is it unique enough to you? Like these are some of those, reading terms of service, doing your own homework and your background research. There is nothing I can do. Legally, it wasn't mine. I used a picture from Canva, so I didn't own it. We then changed it and did more to protect ourselves. But
Right.
we have that responsibility on the front end to maybe prevent some of that copying or getting in trouble on the, as you go through it.
Yeah. The amount of people that thought our logo was a Chick-fil-A sign is insane. Anyway,
Yeah.
So many.
And that was
so-
one of the only people I have ever blocked. I've only blocked 2, and that was one. So just saying.
Really?
what?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
Watch tomorrow. I'm gonna come in with a Zoe.
No, you're not. No, you're not. So I will say this: it's 8:20, 10-minute countdown here. We still haven't received very many questions or anything, and really nobody put anything
No one
in
answered
there.
my question,
Oh.
except for Jeremy.
There was a comment from Millicent for Jeremy.
Jeremy can make. I actually read this, Millicent, and I used to do something very similar. So what Millicent says, Jeremy can make his code blank or his card blank, like where the code goes, and have the shipping employees write a code instead of their name. Then it would be multi-use. The code could change without reprint. I actually had little cards every time somebody bought 3 or more items, and the code part was blank. And I did that because when I was doing free shipping, trying to encourage more purchases. And so every show I would have to create a code for the card. Administratively, it became to the point where I
Yeah,
still have
that's
cards
crazy.
sitting back
That's
there
a
and
lot.
I refuse to use them. Yeah. It was just too much after about, I don't know, I gave it about 3 or 4 months and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore.
No, I wouldn't.
I understand and I appreciate the idea. Whenever you implement human interaction, it creates for me a problem. Like writing down, like when I have to ship stuff outside of Whatnot, and I have my employees write down the code that the not the code, but the tracking number from like UPS. It creates a back end, like you're saying, problem when they can't get the code to work. They're reading it wrong. It's up to the how well they can. It's just stuff that becomes problematic. And to me, some of the elements for me would just be doing shorter print runs on certain code, things that have codes. But really the only thing I send out anymore, now I'm thinking about it, that involves discount codes is the oopsie card at the moment. Everything else, you only get a discount code after collecting X amount of the cards I send out. And I have noticed that doing 12 cards series is too much because some of the excitement has died because it's a larger undertaking. So I've learned now that I have to go back to the 5 or 6 card series because I get very few and far between people that actually receive all of them and send it in for the discount. So again, more bunny trail, but yeah, that's why something like that. I probably wouldn't.
Sounds like too much to me.
What's that?
A 12 card series of people contacting. That sounds like too much work to me.
I do have
Well,
to
that's
say,
not-
Chance.
That's not hard. I mean,
Yeah.
well, the other thing is when I send it back, my phone is when I respond to people, and the entire response is already right in there. So I just click a couple buttons,
Gotcha.
and you're done sending them a code when they send you the pictures. So I had somebody actually. It was kind of funny. Somebody heard me talking about the coupon codes. It's just a little side story. It was really really nice of them to contact me. They're obviously a super trustworthy person, because they were like, I got 2 boxes, but it was from the same show, and in each box there was a card. You want me to send the other card back? And I'm
Oh, that
like,
was sweet.
no, I was like, that's really sweet of you, but no, you can have
Okay,
both. You
that's
can
funny.
keep them.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I just want to point out, I have to say, on the coupon codes, you say 12 is hard to manage. Like, I have 9, we're doing 9 different ones a quarter. But what that does is it also limits my financial exposure. For the customers that are buying every show, they're eventually going to get all 9, and they're going to get bigger discounts, which they deserve because they're buying more all the time. The people who are hit or miss are not probably going to be able to collect all 9, which I know that when I put out, hey, mix these 3 codes from quarter 1 and you get $10 or $15 off, my exposure is very low, and that exposure is to the people who have purchased the most items. So I'm rewarding the people, the best customers, at the same time as I'm limiting, my financial risk.
I am going after more of the collector mentality than the dollar saving mentality with that now.
Yeah.
It has evolved into that, which one of the attributes is completionists, and that's a aspect that people go after. And if I can recreate the desire for completionist more frequently, the more desire there is going to be for that, and the more stick-to-itiveness there's going to be. So having 12 elongates that and diminishes that attribute, makes it harder. It drives down. So sticking to that 5 or 6, it's not hard to manage. It just takes longer for them to get them.
Now,
Like on our end, it's actually easier to manage because I'm not getting as many people messaging me with like, here's all my cards, please send me the coupon code.
it'd probably be a little bit easier if your cards were given away in a static time frame. Card 1, if it's a 12-week card and you're running it for a quarter, week 1, week 2, week 3, it's all different cards rather than the randomness. I realize the randomness you have to
gotta buy
purchase
more.
more.
Yeah,
Yes,
but the
it would
randomness
keep
encourages
people-
more purchases. Yeah.
But it would encourage the excitement of each week. You're guaranteed a new card.
I gotcha.
I mean, you
but
could play to that.
I
You
think-
could do a certain day. Hey, guess what? We're doing card 1s today. I mean, you can always play to that when you want to.
Yeah,
Yes.
I also don't want to dive into too many elements involved. Like it's kind of like an automatic. It's easy for my shipping department to deal with. It's easy for them to not screw up. When I get to the point, like let's say they forget to move the thing over a day, no harm, no foul. No one's going to know that they shipped out the same card 2 days in a row. What you're talking about, if a certain employee's job that's supposed to do that neglects to do that, I'm going to hear about it from every single buyer that day.
You will.
And it inevitably, I can't even talk. We're all tired, apparently.
Yes.
It will definitely happen. Something like that will happen where the wrong stuff's going to go out. Someone's going to forget to move the marker for which card is supposed to go out that day because, they're employees and they want to remember as little as possible. They want to come in and that's why my shipping system is the way it is now, because I've realized instead of trying to find the right person, I got to make the system work for more people. And that's to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I think doing stuff like that would be great. It's just, I've learned from experience now that doing too much, having too many points of potential problems. And that would feel to me like it could be one. And I hate doing customer service. My least, just so something like that, I could already envision it, an entire day of sales, every person practically contacting me and going, I was supposed to get a Taurus and I ended up getting a Sagittarius or what, you know, and I'm just like, oh no. So anyway. Oh yeah, we are we're right up against that
We
that
are.
time frame there now. So time flies.
It
I don't know if
does.
anybody else has any last, if anybody's got questions or if any of us have last comments to be made. I really enjoyed this topic personally. So
It was a good one.
Well, I thought it was an interesting 2 hours. So
I do too.
yeah,
I mean, it's something everyone struggles with or thinks about. There's no two ways about it. So, I mean, no one's ever going to change. I still, you know, it comes down to, I mean, we already knew at the beginning, you're going to have to do some of both if you're going to succeed. Some of both
You
is
do.
going to naturally happen and some of both is going to be part of what you do. But as a new person, the things you do want to try to get a pulse of, and it's almost like a gut feeling is what we were talking, but I was talking about earlier about making sure that whatever you're going to take on the imitation side of things, make sure it's going to do you more good than harm, because it is a social environment, and if you're not careful, you might be able to imitate one person and be fine, and somebody else that's, you know, of a certain style seller that has a certain style of follower, you might end up hurting yourself by imitating even the exact same principle, you know, is from a different seller than somebody else, is what I'm trying to say. So
I would
just
I
take
would say
stock of it.
I would say from our end, no matter what I see, if I ever see anything that I'm like, hey, look, that looks like something I want to try, I would never do it exactly the same way.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Ever. Even just small little changes, but it would be turned into the I love discount
Brand.
Rendition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We got the $1 million
yeah.
question right at the 12th hour. Sassy Mia. That is the big question there. I know Jeremy has a really quick answer. I mean, Jeremy can be quick, right?
Sassy Mia knows my answer. You guys can give a different answer. Sassy Mia knows my answer.
Lysandra, do you want to take it?
I mean,
I'll do it if
my
not, but-
standard is it's pretty general, really.
It has to be general because everybody does things differently.
Yeah, move quickly, fast auctions. Don't be showing people stuff. Don't be like, look at this, see what I got. Believe me, I've made that mistake myself. Just run it.
What
Run it. Whether it's $1 or $50, just run it.
Here's 900 items on the table. What does anybody want?
You need to be talking. Dead space kills, and dollar starts always kind of help, or at least as low as you can get go. And that's kind of my general response.
Yep.
What do you got to add to that, Tracy?
My very quick answer is consistency and clarity. Be consistent in your shows.
Consistency.
And be clear in your policies and what you're doing. Clear pricing, clear language, clear expectations, and do that over and over again, and you will build your audience.
Yeah. And you all know mine. You sell.
Just
If you want people to buy, you want to sell as much as you can, as often as you can.
Just go live and push the button.
Yeah, your best billboard is being on.
Yep.
So,
Well, thank you guys for all coming and listening to us talk for these past 2 hours. I appreciate you being here, and I know Jeremy, Tony, and Tracy do too.
We do.
yeah.
With that,
Give me my best princess wave.
we'll see y'all next week.
Well, thanks
See you, everybody.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining, everybody.
Catch you all later.
See you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.